Hello, welcome to the video series on understanding culturally and linguistically appropriate services. This video will provide an overview of the theme governance, leadership, and workforce. The objective for this learning session is to achieve the following. Examine why the national class standards are important. Describe the governance, leadership, and workforce standards, and explore different approaches to implement the governance, leadership, and workforce standards within your organization. Our goal is after the video, you will have a high-level understanding of the what's, the whys, and the hows of the governance and leadership workforce standards. So a little bit of background on what are the national class standards. The national class standards were first implemented in 2000 by the Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health to help address and reduce racial and ethnic health and medical care disparities. After feedback from public forums in 2013, the standards were revised to what we have today to increase user-friendliness and broaden the guidelines. The national class standards were developed to ensure the availability of culturally and linguistically appropriate healthcare and medical services of anyone and everyone who needs care. CLAS provides organizations with 15 action steps intended to advance health equity, improve quality, and help eliminate healthcare disparities by establishing a blueprint for health and healthcare organizations. There is no single correct way to implement national class standards. An organization may decide to implement some, but not all of them, or they may wish to implement some sooner than others. We will be discussing the theme of governance, leadership, and workforce. This theme encompasses standards 2 through 4. Governance, leadership, and workforce emphasizes that to implement this class standard successfully, an organization must be able to direct its attention and resources to the needs of culturally diverse populations. In other words, to plan strategically. In doing strategic planning, an organization seeks to define and structure activities, develop policies, and set goals that will empower it to provide culturally and linguistically appropriate services. Standard 2 emphasizes how CLAS must be integrated into every aspect and level of healthcare. Standard 2 requires an ongoing investment and logistical analysis in order to properly allocate resources. This ensures the continuity of long-term permanent staff, resources, programming, and everyday support to sustain CLAS initiatives. Additionally, it models an appreciation and respect for belonging, inclusion, conflict resolution, and everyday adjustments that we make for ourselves and others that are no longer seen as accommodations, but rather something everyone needs and deserves. Examples of implementation activities for Standard 2 would be to create a strategic plan that incorporates policies, procedures, staff, financial resources, and organizational systems to support CLAS efforts. To create a CLAS committee or designate leaders that will focus efforts around providing culturally competent care and ensuring the board represents the patient population. And finally, to identify champions who will rally and support CLAS internally and externally. Standard 3 points how organizations that support and affirm differences in their staff, leadership, providers, and contractors reflect results that show individuals feel welcomed and valued, as well as integrate multicultural and interpersonal perspectives into planning, design, implementation, and longevity with the national CLAS standards. Examples of implementation activities for Standard 3 would be to recruit at minority health fairs and job fairs, Create an environment in which differences are respected and that are responsive to the challenges that a culturally and linguistically diverse staff bring into the workplace, such as incorporation of guidelines, and also to regularly conduct assessments of hiring and retention data, current workforce demographics, promotion demographics, and community demographics to ensure staff reflects the diversity of the patient and consumer populations that you serve. Standard 4 helps organizations prepare, encourage, and support a workforce educating, training personal and professional development, critical thinking, and natural mentorship. This yields higher returns on investment when assessing staff and patient cultural, linguistic, and health literacy competency progress. Examples of implementation activities for Standard 4 would be to allocate annual budgetary expenditures for ongoing CLAS training, offer orientation for new hires and ongoing annual training for current staff via brown bag lunch series or yearly update meetings and how to meet the needs of the populations they are serving, or to host annual training on cultural competency, health literacy, or other topics that are specific to your organization's needs. Think of like e-learning or distance learning opportunities. So to recap, governance, leadership, and workforce. This includes standards 2 through 4. CLAS is the responsibility of the entire system. And the goal is to create an environment in which culturally diverse individuals feel welcomed and valued, and to promote trust and engagement with the communities and populations served. In closing, health equity is the attainment of the highest level of health for all people. Culturally and linguistically appropriate services are increasingly being included in or referenced by local and national legislative, regulatory, and accreditation mandates. Both the Joint Commission and the National Committee for Quality Assurance have established accreditation standards that target the improvement of communication, cultural competency, person-centered care, and the provision of language assistance services. The pursuit of health equity must remain at the forefront of our effort. CLAS is a way to improve the quality of services provided to all individuals, which will ultimately help reduce health disparities and achieve health equity for all. If you have any additional questions about the National CLAS standards, please do not hesitate to reach out to Superior Health Quality Alliance.